I'm Janice Sherman. Today, I am the founder and CEO of an organization called Partners in Equity. And equity in this context might be more relatable to you if you think about justice, because most people connect equity with finance. But for me, it's about justice and helping people really find the balance with things like financial wealth and, really being able to attain a level of equity with others. And so I created the name PI. PI is the acronym for Partners in Equity because there needs to be more slices of the pie. Most of it's already been taken up, and there needs to be more. There needs to be some for you, actually. And so that's why I created this organization. Part of the way I do that is by helping you think about entrepreneurship. And that really has to do with not only how you start a business, but how you structure that business and how you really set the foundation with a tax structure so that you're keeping more money in than you're letting go out, and therefore you're increasing your slice of the pie. And the way that I do that is by connecting with partners. And so I really connected with the Wealth Building League because I needed a financial partner, one that would help me really think about how to help people look at financial wealth in a greater way, in a broader capacity. I needed to think about really how to think about generational wealth for folks. I haven't always been who I am today. I'm a product of public housing, grew up in an environment where we never talked about wealth ever. Never had any access to certain information. Now, there's a lot of information that floats around the world that talks about wealth and how to build it. I just never had that luxury growing up. And so, what the Wealth Building League has offered me is an opportunity to really think about working with a community to do that. I mean, it's an awesome opportunity for me to gain knowledge and experience and really think about how to help others and build that wealth through generations. And so now I'm working with that. And this is really our opportunity, guys. I mentioned that there's a lot of information globally that talks about wealth. Well, this is our opportunity to think about getting access to that information. This is the community that's going to help you navigate some of those shores. I mean, we're still learning. We're always learning, but together we do it in a way that helps us with that whole, the dynamic of saying we're a day late and a dollar short. I mean, most of this information, we get so late in the game. It's like, oh, it's over. I wish someone had told me. Well, now we're telling you, and we've got to take advantage of this opportunity. It's the Wealth Building League, and we need to grab it. Monica.
Absolutely. So my name is Monica Moton Williams, and I actually am the CEO and owner of LeMay Marketing Firm. And LeMay Marketing Firm is a part of my name, LeMay, and then I put the marketing to it because my daughter, Zostis, is an artist. She's a rapper, singer, all that good stuff. And so I decided as a mother that I wanted to make sure that we went to the table being legit. Her career started to take off, and then other artists said, "Hey, your mom, she's a momager. Does she do stuff for other people as well?" And I said, "Sure." That's how I met a good friend named Tate, and Tate introduced me to Playbook Athlete at the time. And I decided, at the first hello, when they talked about the financial piece, because again, that was something when I grew up, my dad at 5 years old had me sit on his lap and talk about the Wall Street Journal. And, some of you guys may say, that may not be as interesting as for a kid, but it really was because he was teaching me about financial literacy at a very young age. And so being in the WBL, that's what drew me to them more so than anything was the financial literacy piece, because I feel that we as a people, we don't invest in ourselves. We don't invest timely enough. Like Janice said, we get to the table late in the game. And what happens is that when the stocks or the coins have really produced some extremely significant wealth, guess what? We're sitting there saying, oh, I wish I could have, I should have, I would have if I'd known this. But a lot of times you have to just step out on faith and make it happen. And that's what I did. And so it has been an amazing journey being with the Wealth Building League and being a part of a marketing firm. The branding, marketing, and selling to young athletes is really important because you have to let them know that you're not a one-trick pony as an athlete. There's more to it. Everybody doesn't get to be in the NFL or the NBA. So we're teaching them on the groundbreaking piece of the WBL that you can be more than just that student athlete. You can be a financially savvy athlete as well. So back to you, Yvonne.
Hi, my name is Dr. Yvonne Fry Johnson, and my brand is Parent Like a Panther Mom because it's a jungle out there. And so the way I got connected with the Wealth Building League is my friend Janice Sherman. She always reaches out, as like families should do, to support each other and build us up. Brought me to the Wealth Building League and Playbook Athlete, and I've been with them for 2 full years now. It'll be 2 years in February, and it's a fantastic opportunity. Way I play in with Parent Like a Panther Mom is that even if you're an athlete, regardless of what you're doing, you need to have some financial literacy. You need to have a strong family supporting you. It doesn't have to be your blood family. It's nice if it is, but it doesn't have to be. And you need to learn things to make you a strong communicator, make you responsible, make you confident, etc. So when I think about parenting like a Panther Mom with this organization, even if you're an athlete, something that's really important is that you have all the other pieces, because wealth is not only financial wealth. Wealth is mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being. So especially being an athlete, you really have to think about the physical, because things can happen to you. We don't want them to, but in reality, they do happen. You have to have the fiscal literacy. Have you seen where athletes are very wealthy for a season, and then they're old and not only physically broken, but they're financially broken? So we want to look at the whole person. So one of the things I bring as the Panther Mom Doc is a thing to help with families to think through the mental health issues, the emotional stability, we don't want folks having suicidal ideation. We don't want folks overwhelmed with the stress and not knowing how to vent or not knowing how to seek care, right? And so we are looking at the total package. We're looking at the whole family. We're looking at their mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being.
How Tate presented this group to me, he said, I'm going to bring you to a podcast. It's going to be through Zoom. And I know that you have a lot of time because it's 2020 and we're in COVID. So
wow.
you need to come. And so I said, okay. And so they started talking about financial literacy based upon cryptocurrency. And I know I had invested in Shiba Inu, the coin. And so when they started talking about cryptocurrency, that was a branding moment for me to say, okay, I need to make sure that I stay in the game with these guys, because they talked about the long game. So that was the brand right there, the long game. And then the marketing of it, how they each week had us to come with a coin that we had to do our research, because they always said, we're not your financial advisors.
Right.
We have to make sure you do your research. So that way they're telling you as a disclaimer, we're not going to take the fall if you invest in something and you haven't done your research. And then the selling part of it was how they sold the community. So I really invested in how they branded, marketed, and sold the community of Playbook Athlete at the time. And as we started to progress, it became the Wealth Building League, because it ties into that component with the parents. And so that's what I would bring to the parents. You know, if you're sitting here watching this podcast, it's big about branding. It's how you present yourself when you come into the room, because those first 21 seconds are impactful. And that's what they did. In 21 seconds, they sold me on their brand.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So that adds a little bit of context. And so for me, the brand was about financial literacy and moving into wealth, because Yvonne and I were having conversations. We really needed to find somebody to help us. It's like, we want to do investments. We don't really know how to go about it. And I told you, I'm a product of, public housing. So I've always been looking for a way out. It's like, this is the way for you to get where you need to be. And so that was the draw. And I saw the investments growing and, creating wealth for generations beyond myself and being able to do that through a community. So that was the draw, that was the attraction, and it works. And so this is the ticket, guys. So we want you to take advantage of it.
So the branding, the way it worked for me is the same thing Janice said. We were looking for something to give us more information on this topic. At the time in 2021, people were trying to do almost like
Level marketing.
multi-level marketing.
Yep.
And you can get into this and we'll do cryptocurrency. And if you get it, then I get paid. I didn't want to hear that anymore. And we came to Playbook Athlete and the whole thing about helping other people. I'm nearing retirement. Excited. But anyway, but still, what I've done my whole life is try to help others. I've been blessed. I had a very unusual upbringing. Both of my parents were rocket scientists. Not a joke, for real. But when you're given, when much is given to you, much is expected for you to give back. And it's a pleasure. It's not a burden. And I think that we as a group each have strengths that are unusual, strengths and experiences. And we want to share that. We want to share the wealth. We want to build up people. And we want to reach for people who other people have not reached for before. We're willing to do it quite joyfully. And again, we don't know everything, but we have a lot to offer. Learning in this organization, being consistent, being dollar cost averaging. In other words, you don't have to just have tons of money to throw in every week. If you have $5 a week, you could get involved with buying coins or buying cryptocurrency, and it's just being consistent with our meetings to have our discussions to grow our knowledge. Wealth is the new learning. So we're learning from this group. We're building ourselves, and we're ready to build other people. And so that's what the draw card was for me.
And funny you should say about the new wealth is learning and how we say a lot of things on Monday nights. And sometimes you don't think that people are really listening and hearing and then executing. They say so many things, but one person said something that they didn't even realize that they had said it and it made an impact. And they were talking about the new wealth is learning. And I said, hey, I called them offline. I said, why don't we go ahead and trademark this, get some shirts? Because I'm real big on branding because it's an attention grabber. I used to do some stuff with the cosmetic company, and we used to turn the little pen upside down, and people would say, hey, your pen is upside down. And that was our way to bring them in, reel them in, and hook them.
Oh, wow.
So when he said the new wealth is learning, I said, that's a way for we can brand the t-shirt, wear it, and people will ask. I wear it all the time in the airport, and people always says, what is that? Is that some kind of club? And I said, I'm glad you asked. I said, we're in the Wealth Building League. We're part of Playbook Athlete, and we focus on student athletes and letting them know that there is there's more to it than just the sports side of it. Because everybody's not going to be a professional player, but they can have a dream. We don't destroy kids' dreams. We enhance and massage the dream, and that way they will be rich before they even get to the NFL if they're blessed to do that. So it's funny how you talk about the new wealth is learning, and that was just something that was a phrase that was coined out of our Monday meetings. So a lot of information comes out of those meetings. Sometimes you feel like it's information overload, but it's information that is retainable. So I would ask you guys, what are some of the phrases that have come out of these Monday meetings that resonated with you, that stick with you, that you'd want to share with parents as they're looking at this podcast and saying, why should we become a part of WBL or our child become a part of Playbook Athlete?
Sure. For me, it's the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of mankind. I mean, I heard it and I went, oh my God. I mean, who would not want to be a part of that, right? It's like,
and we're
it.
here.
Yeah.
We're here on
We're
the
here.
ground.
So
it's not quite the grand floor, but we're there.
Timing is everything. It
Right.
really is. And so You don't want the transformation of wealth in this country or in the world for that matter. This is global to
Right.
happen without you being at the table. You have an opportunity with the Wealth Building League to be at the table.
And I think that education is very important in our lives. It's important to me. And I think that sharing the education, sharing the wealth is very important. And I think that not just being handed it to, it getting handed to you and without you having to take some part in it. Like we have to participate in obtaining and using this knowledge. And I think sharing with the family, the fact that you have parents helping their children not only become awesome in sports and be recognized by colleges, etc., but to again, we're trying to build the road. Think about it like the yellow brick road. We're building a road where we're taking you from the beginning. Before you can be a child, you can be a youth or somebody in the younger ages like junior high and high school. And we're already instilling in you, don't count on somebody else to build your brand. You can build your own brand. You can therefore profit from financially from building your own brand. You don't want to count on somebody else. If something happens to you, guess what? They are through with you right there. You break something, something slips, something happens to you, it's as if you were not the star that they picked up. So we're making sure that you have layers of protection for you and for your brand, and that you understand how to take care of yourself and focus on your own health, your own mental well-being, your physical well-being, your financial well-being, longevity, things beyond the athletic success if you actually obtain athletic success. We're talking about a lifelong impact and a generational wealth building situation.
And I love your stories, Janice. Janice is over here. This is Yvonne. So, Yvonne, I love your stories. And you talked about the Yellow Brick Road, and that reminded me of a story about Cinderella
Mhm.
and how the word possible is in that particular
Right.
word. And when they talked about in Cinderella turning a plain yellow pumpkin into a golden carriage, in the WBL, when I think of that story, I think about how we're going to turn student athletes into financial savvy, successful individuals that are going to make an impact into society. And whether they play on the field or whether they play the long game in the financial world, they're going to be successful because we're teaching them where to go to, the different resources and the tools and things like that. And so, Janice, I would ask you, what is your story? Even if you have to pull it from a childhood book, what is your story that you would say ties to the WBL?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it really goes beyond the athlete to their families because with families, I mean, my aspiration was to look out on the world and see that there was inequity and injustice. And so I've always been concerned about people broadly because there's this imbalance in the world when it comes to wealth. And for me, it's about the family and being able to really provide that whole family with the resources that they need to think about how do we do this from where we are today. I mean, we talk about the long game, but today you can really set yourself up to have a structure in place, whether it's an LLC or another type of business structure that really provides a shelter for you so that you have more money to invest. You're starting to keep more of your money. You can use that money and reinvest it in, the long game, but it gives you an opportunity to think about how to help families today. And that's what the WBL attracts for me.
I'd like to break it down to something even more basic and simple. So I used to live in Atlanta. I live in Augusta, Georgia now. And at both of my churches, more in Atlanta than Augusta, when family members die, people don't have money to bury them. Now is that the most important thing in life? Not necessarily, but it's important. You don't want to be in that situation. You got to do a fundraiser to bury your mother, right? So we have to think, like I said, wealth is not simply money in hand. Wealth is the entire package. It's your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional well-being. And not having to struggle, have all this struggle both in life at the end of life. So if you bring your whole family along, introduce them to these concepts, we won't be in those situations where we in our communities are struggling at people's end of life and it's bad enough that you've lost your mother or your father or your sibling, but now you are in financial crisis because nobody in the family has money. We're trying to help. We're not trying. We are going to help people come out of that. And again, who much is given, to whom much is given, much is expected. And that's what we're working towards, making sure that we as a group share with others, help build up others. You help build up your own families, build up your communities. The world is in crisis right now. So we need to take a hold of family community, Wealth Building League, Playbook Athlete, places like our organizations and our different businesses to help strengthen people individually and collectively.
I agree. So when you think about community, what would you tell a parent watching this about how important community is to you? Because community for me is huge. I grew up in a very rural area, Prince Edward County, and my mom and father came from different sides of the tracks. People kind of resonate with that. My mom grew up really poor, and my dad grew up. It was 9 of them, but he grew up where the land that his parents had was their wealth, because our grandfather used to say, if you have land, you have riches. But like you said, it's more than just about the financial piece. The land piece, that's something that historically you can keep in your family, and you can go back, and it's the home place and things like that. And then it's the community, being able to be in the church or the recreational center, but people recognizing you and knowing who you are. And so if I'm talking to the parents out there, it's, you want to do business and you want to be a part of a community where we have that it factor,
Right.
where we meet you where you are. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be poor. You don't have to be in the middle. You can be whoever and whatever you want to be. We're going to meet you where you are, because that's important. And that's what really keeps me here at the WBL, is because each week they have something that meets me where I am. And they take me and accept me for who I am and what I bring to the table. And so sometimes it's knowledge, because I always say knowledge is power.
Right.
And so sometimes it's, having that coin presented to you where someone else, again, did their research, but they're profiting off of it, but they're not afraid to bring you along and share the wealth. Right. And that's what I love about this community, is that if parents are willing to really invest in their children's future, invest in the WBL, because we're going to make sure that we take care of your children as well as the parents. And so to me,
and then spread the
wealth. And that's, to me, what's really huge about community.
Yeah, great points, Monica. Community for me was really, in public housing, you can't help but have community because everybody's right there together. Mm-hmm. So you're on top of each other, you're next door to each other, you're really in community together. But it was more than that. It was about the value of taking care of each other, which was really special. But part of that challenge is that we didn't have access to information. And so that community has to be a resource and not just, self-contained within itself, because the world outside is just, moving along and, and things are happening, and that information was not channeled to us. And so part of what the struggle is, particularly in communities of color, is like, how do you get access to capital? How do you get access to funding? How do you get access to information? And the Wealth Building League gives us an opportunity to not only network with folks, to learn about the different businesses and assets that are part of this group, but to learn together beyond what we even bring to the table. Because your situation is going to be a unique set of circumstances. And we want to be able to say, you don't have to look like us. You don't have to be like us. Really bring what you have. And as Monica said, we meet you where you are. But for me, the value in access to information is so critical in order to build your wealth for yourself and for the generations beyond yourself, is that this is where you have an opportunity to find that. So come get it. This time, just come on and get it. Yeah.
I'm going to add on to what Janice and Monica just said. So I said at the beginning that my parents were rocket scientists. That's very unusual. But what I didn't tell you is my father, his parents didn't finish 6th grade. But my father got a PhD in chemical physics from the University of Southern California in the 60s. So now here's somebody whose parents did not finish 6th grade. He gets his doctorate. He reaches back for his youngest sister, brings her to California, gets her to a master's level. That's community, that's family, that's sharing, that's making sure that we aren't leaving people behind. I kind of look at it like if you drop a pebble in the water and you know how the rings of water, you'll get the ripples.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like that's what we're doing, but I think it's more like we drop a boulder in the water and we're going to share it. And it's going to really spring out like that. But anyway, I also said I'm a doctor. I'm a pediatrician by training. I'm now completely a chief medical officer. But as a pediatrician, I can tell you, family and community really matter. And education, absolutely. What better place to start than in the family? What if I'm not educated? What if you as a parent are not educated? You have no clue about fiscal responsibility or fiscal strength or whatever. We're going to help with all of this. And there's no judgment. We're in this together. We're looking out for other individuals, and we just want you to know that the opportunity is here. Our hearts are in the right place. We have joy about this, and this has just been an awesome opportunity to work with these folks and the rest of the team in the Wealth Building League, and we'd like to share that with others.
And as you can see, we're excited about it. I mean, who wouldn't be excited about wealth? And like my ladies here on the platform have said, it's not just about the money. Right. You know, how people always say, show me the Quan, because they think they can get into some of these platforms and they get rich quick. And it's not about getting rich quick. Yeah, you get rich quick with knowledge and the power that comes each week when we come in and we get those nuggets and the boulders that you talked about, Yvonne. But it's not about, and we have seen some people come and go. Right. Because they came in for the wrong reasons. They came in thinking that, oh, we're going to get in here and they're going to 4X us or 10X us or whatever. And then they leave because they didn't make money right away. No. It's not fast enough. But I always say 2025. It's just something that is just part of me. It's like my fabric. I said in 2020, when we were in the heat of COVID, I bought Shiba Nu. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm going to wait till 2025 because I didn't get in at 2015 when Shiba Nu did its 20X or whatever and people came out millionaires, and same thing with Bitcoin. But we have another bull run coming. And so I would like for you guys to just kind of talk about your coins, and you don't have to tell them how much we have in the coins, because remember, wealth is silent. You don't talk about that, but just tell them about what it means to you when you hear the word bull run.
Oh, the terminology is very tricky, and so I'm not going to jump out of my lane. You just heard what my lane is. And so the challenge is really getting the depth of knowledge that you need to understand how you play this game, because it's really critical that you invest in yourself, in the learning of different things. And then you test the waters. I mean, really, bull versus, bear is really, irrelevant unless you're going to try and understand how that affects you personally. Because if you can't watch the market 24/7, then you're going to have a different posture in terms of how you invest. And I really think the essence of it is just really how you learn, how you ask questions. You have a community in the WBL to ask those questions of, and just really doing your homework, doing your own deep dive. You'll hear that every time we meet. Do your own deep dive. I won't say who says that, but we all know who says that.
Yes.
Do your own deep dive and get there and learn some things to really help you with context for the terminology, not just the name in and of itself.
And this is not like going out and buying a lottery ticket. This is slow and steady wins the race. You're just consistent. People, one of our main leaders, the founder of Playbook Athlete, he has shown us in some of our meetings on Monday night, he has shown us what kind of money we would have made just being consistent from 2015. And he's shown us if you started with $5 a week, if you did $25 a week, if you did $50 a week, or if you dropped a big, like what Bitcoin cost was at the time,
Those lump sums.
Those lump sums. If you any way you win, you don't have to have a 25 million versus a million. You don't have to be jealous. Oh, you got Janice dumped in 16,000 when I could only dump in 50 a week. Okay, we're not comparing. Any of those things would put you in a much better situation than you probably are at this point. And think about it. People spend over $5 a day. If you go to Starbucks, I drink tea. Even if I go to Starbucks and get a cup of tea, I'm going to be spending more than $5 a day or a week or however often I go to Starbucks. Now, what if I don't drink it every day, but the people that drink every day, if you'd done that every day, I look at it doing something every week. But if you think about it, if you have $7 or so to put in every day into Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the other coins, Shiba, the different things, if you're consistent, and like I said, it doesn't have to be every day, it's just being consistent, then you would be much wealthier and in a long-term setup from doing that work. And I look at it the same thing with the education that we get on Monday nights. Am I just doing nothing all day Monday that I conveniently can get up late in the day and go to our calls and have an opportunity for learning? Absolutely not. I'm exhausted Monday night. But you know what? If I ever miss a night, I know I've missed something. And when I come to the meetings, to the what is it called? The
Zoom
calls.
Yeah.
When I come to the Zoom calls, I always learn something. I always enjoy the other people in the group. We have people here in Georgia. We have people in Mississippi. We have people in other states that are involved. It's very exciting. And you know that it's not a waste of time. And we all build each other up. And we're developed. And that's also part of what community can do for you. It helps your health to have a community. There's more longevity of days if you have a community that brings health, mental health to your being. So this is an opportunity to also strengthen our hearts and our lives and our minds by being a part of a positive community in a very negative world sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for you guys. Just thinking about your personal goals with the WBL. I mean, for me, it really is about a certain number in the wealth game that I'd like to attain because I have some things I need to get. And the other is really about the number of families that really get an opportunity to do things like, build a business and, create some, tax structure so that they are in a position to invest their money. And that for me is what I see coming into fruition. Are there things that you personally see as, the future vision that you have personally, even though we're in a community, we're all about, helping each other and helping others. But what do you personally see by being a part of the WBL?
Early retirement.
All right.
Yes. I am just excited about that. When I first, I'm not going to lie, when I first, came to the platform, I was like, okay, this cryptocurrency, I've never became rich off of stock market. I mean, wealthy, but not rich.
Hmm.
And well, I guess wealthy is better than rich because
Yep.
wealthy is long term, rich is short term. That's like the chains, that some of the rappers and stuff wear. So, no, I don't want to just be about the chains. I want to
Right.
be about the longevity and leaving a legacy. My kids are all in the arts, so I would love to have some type of production house for them, and so that we would do like a family business. Because early retirement just means early retirement from the 9 to 5.
Sure.
But that's not, I can't retire like that. I have to always be a busybody doing something and making an impact in the world and putting my footprint and my blueprint so that people will remember Monica Moton Williams because she did something that was not impossible to do. And so that's why I stay in this game and stay in the long game because I see what I have envisioned coming true.
For me, it's like I said, I'm about to retire, but no matter what you've done, unless you did something really awesome 30 years ago, beyond the expected or preferred consistent investment, there's always something else you can do with the knowledge you've gleaned over the years. So now, even though I'm getting this knowledge later in life, I have 3 children. They're all young adults and they're all doing well. But one thing my mother and my mother-in-law, both of them were deceased, taught us is that not only are we supposed to leave generational wealth, we're supposed to make an impact that makes a difference in our children's lives. But I would like to do it while I'm alive. My kids are going to get stuff when I die. But why would I want them to only get stuff when I die? I want to spend time with them doing awesome things. And I want to have the ability to do that. And it's not a financial burden. It's not going in debt. And it's not, like we've been saying, it's not just about the individual dollars. It's like the experience, the wellness, the mental, physical, spiritual well-being, and the connectiveness. I think that makes a big difference, and that's what I'm interested in getting. And then again, impacting future people. It's good if your children understand to impact other people. So if your kids are athletes, are they going to help other athletes come along, or is it just going to be about them? I want to be the star. I want to be the only one that has the money. Or, look, this is something you can do where you can have your own image, your own likeness, and you have control over that. And you wouldn't have known about that if you hadn't been introduced to it by Playbook Athlete, the Wealth Building League, etc. So that's what we're looking at. That's what I'm looking at and thinking about.
That's great, guys. I have a final question for you, and that's about when you remember back when you first heard crypto and you said, "Oh no, not for me," kind of thing. It's like, I'm not interested in that, and that's a ripoff. That's a scam. That's all this other stuff. What changed? What turned that thing in your mind and your heart that said, "Okay"?
The WBL, Playbook Athlete, and just them actually pouring into us each week. Because even though my nephew introduced me to it December 31st, 2020, because December 31st, 2025 is going to be my year of execution, it didn't resonate. I just said, okay, sure, I'll put some money into it, whatever, just like I do the stocks, whatever. But it wasn't until I got in the WBL and I got the education and I started to do my own deep dives and the research and the investigation that it started to be a part of my fabric, my core, my being. And once I started to put skin in the game, I was hooked.
Mine is kind of a sad story because I literally, back when it was under $100, I literally turned it over to other family, somebody else. I don't want to throw them under the bridge. But anyway, and a good family friend and somebody in my immediate family. And I said, check this out. I think this is going to be great. At the time, I literally was going to put in about $1,000 and it would have given me several Bitcoins at the time. Turned it over. They were looking at it like you're describing. I didn't look at it like that because like your father had you reading the Wall Street Journal. My father had me reading it too. And I forgot about this. He used to call home. Now imagine, I grew up in the 60s. no cell phones. We didn't have, we didn't have all these ways you could get this information easily. But anyway, my father would call home each day and ask us about somebody's eggs. I was trying to look it up. It was a stock market thing, and it was an investment in some kind of eggs. I'm older. I can't remember what it was. And I would be looking it up on the TV in the daytime so I could tell Daddy how much whatever this egg stock was. That's pretty interesting,
That
isn't
is
it?
very
But
interesting.
because of that, I knew that these things could make a difference, even if I didn't understand it. It's better to understand it. It is better to understand
Absolutely.
it. But the thought that you could get involved early, it wasn't going to cost you an arm and a leg. You just put into it what you can afford to lose. You don't do something crazy. You don't take your mortgage. We're not your
Right.
financial advisor, but I'm telling you, don't take your mortgage, don't take your car payment, put it into these things when you don't really have the money for that. We're not talking about that. But you take something that you're not going to miss if you never get it back, and you're going to be ecstatic about it when you do profit from it. So that's part of the long-term training, the consistency, even the consistency of being at our meetings each Monday night. That's dedication. That's something you have to learn to be an athlete. You got to go to practice. You got to keep your grades up. It's the whole consistency. That's part of the education. That's part of the community, keeping you responsible. We call each other. We text each other. I'm going to be late. I'm in a meeting. We don't just assume that we just are MIA and that nobody cares.
Right.
So it's building, the Wealth Building League is teaching us how to do the behaviors that are going to make a difference and create wealth, generational wealth.
What else is working? And I'll leave it at that.
It's been wonderful coming into you guys' homes, to your cars, to your cell phones. But what we're wanting you to leave, if you don't remember anything else we talked about today, we're letting you know that we are paying it forward with the Wealth Building League because we're reaching to the parents, to the student athletes, and letting you know that you're not a one-trick pony.
Right.
You're not. You matter, and so does your finances and success for the future. So thank you so much, ladies. It's been great being on this
thank you
platform
It's
for
with
been
you.
great being with you
Yes.
guys.
Well,
Yeah.
we all had each other's back, right?
Right.
All right. Great show.
Thank you.
Thank you.